Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I just wanted to talk about the impending EV revolution that's happening at the moment, and in particular the Chinese invasion. And as you know, I'm new to EVs. This is my first EV, and it is a Chinese one, the MG, made by SAIC, the Shanghai Automotive Industrial Corporation. But just it got me thinking about the European car manufacturers. Renault, Peugeot, the German manufacturers as well, and how little EVs that they have. And I mean, Renault brought out the Twizy. Was it the Twizy in I think that was in the 90s, and I'm not even sure if it's a car or a quadricycle or the classification of it, but I mean, it took them quite a long time to bring out the Zoe, which I think was around 2010, 2012. And they announced there at the Munich Motor Show that they were bringing out the E-Megane, but that's not going into production till 2023. It's kind of, what's keeping you? Toyota was the same. They launched the Prius in 97. Now it's not a full EV, it's a hybrid, but they've had massive success with it. And I didn't think that they had brought out a full EV, but apparently in 2010, when they bought a lot of Tesla shares, they invested heavily in Tesla, they brought out a RAV4 BEV. Where did they sell it? I've never seen it, never even heard of it. I just happened to come across it online, that they had made a full EV car, and never heard of it. And I know with Toyota, they kind of backed the hydrogen car, and they brought out a hydrogen car, but it just seemed a little bit pointless, because there's no infrastructure for hydrogen, and of course it would take a long time for us to put in infrastructure for hydrogen cars, which, I mean, every country produces electricity, so I think the battery powered cars were more easier to roll out and easier to put in the infrastructure to deal with it, but when you look at the Chinese, I mean, they don't just have one car per company, they have a whole range, and they have everything from, the small city car right up to the large 7-seater, top of the range luxury SUV, and everything in between. And I know a lot of the German designers and engineers moved to China, 3, 4, 5 years back. They were all poached by the Chinese, and they're making some fabulous cars, and they're making what we want. From what I gathered, the Chinese are listening to their customers, and we're saying, look, we want longer range, we want faster charging, and they're answering it, and they're saying, yeah, okay, we'll build it. And the European car manufacturers, I think they realise now that the EV revolution is happening. Whether it was, influence from petrochemical companies that they didn't invest, I don't know. I can't figure out. It doesn't make sense, but I think they realise now that, yeah, the EV revolution is happening, whether they like it or not, and they're trying to play catch up. And you know what? I think it's too late. There's a couple of Chinese companies that are going to be launching within the next next year. There's a company called BYD, Build Your Dreams. That's the company Warren Buffett invested heavily in a few years back, and like that, they've a full range of cars. They're launching the BYD Dolphin next year. Now, unfortunately, it'll probably be 2 or 3 years before we see it. But you know, a medium-sized car, it'll have minimum range of 300 kilometers. There's 2 battery packs that they're going to launch, 300 kilometer range and 400 kilometer range, and it possibly, from what I gather, it will have the 800 volt fast charging capabilities. That's what we want. They've answered it, you know. But you know, they have the BYD Han luxury sedan, or saloon as we would call them, the BYD Tang 7-seater top of the range SUV, and then they have the Yun small SUV crossover type thing. Lovely little car, and unbelievably cheap. You know, a lot of these cars are going to come in, especially the smaller range ones, they're going to come in quite possibly under €30,000. Again, something we want. We said, you know, make them cheaper as well, and they're listening, and they're answering. Xpeng or Xiaopeng, another company, they've fabulous cars. Oh, the Xiaopeng Zeekr, I want one. I want one of those. A hot hatch. You know, they really have every type of car that's on the road today, and they have it now. You know, you can go to China and you can buy anything from the small little Wuling Mini. Again, I think that at the moment it's classed as a quadricycle, but they are for the European market, it will be classed as a car with a 5-star safety rating, and you know, that could be under €20,000. Imagine that, €20,000. And again, minimum range of 300 kilometers. So it's yeah, it just makes me wonder with the European car dealers. You know, Renault are lobbying the EU government to try and push the 2035 deadline of EVs only out another 5 years. And it's kind of, well, if it's taking us 10 years to come up with a new model, I'm not surprised you're looking for more time. But what's keeping you? You know, Nissan are the same. Toyota's given out now because they just can't compete, and they reckon they're going to lose 80% of their car sales and the loss of over 5,500 jobs in Japan, because you backed the wrong horse. You know, stop whinging because you got it wrong. You know, you got it seriously wrong, Toyota. But yeah, I'm enjoying my Chinese car. I've just over 8,000 kilometers done on it now, and no problems. Still enjoying it. And you know, the MG, please make the Cyberster. You know, have you guys seen that? The Cyberster 2-seater little roadster, absolutely beautiful car. Please make it. It's really amazing. But it got me thinking as well about, you know, some of the bells and whistles on cars. You know, a lot of them, they're nice having, you know, in fairness, they are nice to have them, but they're not necessary. And if you took some of them out, could you make the cars even cheaper again and start bringing out cars with a minimum range of 300 kilometers? And I think that would, I think that would be the benchmark for most people, that if you had a minimum of 300 kilometer range, that it would be very usable, you know, and not worrying about having to charge and that. But just a question I want to ask about that. But yeah, to bring out, you know, smaller city cars, you know, for younger generation with no kids, they're in around town, and you know, wouldn't do long trips that often. So, you know, a small little city car, you know, take out the automatic handbrake, put in an ordinary handbrake, no reversing camera, no lane assist, you know, take all those bells and whistles away. Could you make them cheaper and, you know, get them on the market for under €20,000 within Europe? That would be great. That would be fantastic. But the problem, and I kind of see it here, it's the charging infrastructure. I had a look at the CSO figures for Ireland, the Central Statistics Office, and up to July of this year, 33% of cars sold were electric. Now that included plug-in hybrids as well, but 33%, like that's a big chunk. And I know from I know a lot of taxi drivers went to buy an electric car and they couldn't because they were sold out. There was none available. So I'd say by the end of the year, when we have the second 6 months in, I'd say that 33% will certainly go over 40% of the cars sold in this country were electric or plug-in hybrid. And people are putting the names down for next year for full EV. There's a waiting list now for the Volkswagen ID3 and ID4, the Skoda Enyaq, even the MG. They brought in more cars. Initially they only brought in 55 of the MG5 to Ireland, and they were sold within a couple of weeks. Were gone, so they started taking more orders, and they brought in more. They've actually arrived in the country. They're just waiting to clear customs. I know a couple of taxi drivers that were talking to me when they seen this car, and and talking to me from my experience with it. They bought one. They put one on order and they bought one, and they're just waiting for them to clear customs now. But again, they're sold out. It's the EV revolution really is happening. So China, please, I know we're only a small market, come to Ireland, we love you. Xiaopeng, Neo, BYD, we want what you're selling. We have the money. Please come here. But when it comes to the charging, again, as I said, I'm only new to EVs, so I've been doing a lot of research and going into it. And I've the MG5, the 52 kilowatt model, and with AC charging, it'll only charge at 7 kilowatts an hour, and that's because of the charger within the car itself, because it has to turn it into direct current. For those who don't know, I've only found that out. I'm certainly no expert on this, but it just got me thinking about the 22 kilowatt AC charging seems to be the most common charger, certainly within Ireland, and I would imagine it will be everywhere else, because as far as I know, it was easier to put them in all over the place, so to speak. And if you increased the charger within the car, I know some cars will charge at 11 kilowatts on AC chargers. Could you increase it, to 22 kilowatts? So, I mean, if you could get 22 kilowatts into any car, an hour, even charging for half an hour would give you a good range. And if it's a small city car, it would be perfect. And because not everyone can get a home charge, people living in apartments, terrace houses that don't have a front garden, high density housing where they wouldn't necessarily have a driveway, and they couldn't charge. Having a cable going across a footpath, public footpath, is not allowed. So if you put a bigger charger within the car, took out all of the other bells and whistles, and just made it, fast charging on the 22 AC kilowatt charging, I think you'd have a winner there. I think you'd have a seller. It would certainly make them more appealing to people who want to make the switch, but through not being able to home charge, So yeah, bit of food for thought. China, if you're listening, can you look into that, or even if it can't be done, somebody let me know in the comments below. As I said, I'm certainly no expert. I'm not an electrician or electrical engineer or that, but it's just something I thought about. If you increase the charger within the car, could it be done? So let me know what you think. Anyway, so that's all for now. I'll keep you posted on my as we're coming into winter now, and how I'm getting on with the car. But the last few cold mornings, I've you know, had the heater on, wipers on, and all that. And I'm still getting decent range. I'm getting, you know, a shift out of a full charge, absolutely no problem. Still plenty left. You know, I'm still kind of averaging between 40 and 50% of the battery from full. You know, so it's more than enough. So yeah. Right, that's it for now. So stay tuned and drive safe. Talk to you soon. Bye.